Welcome to Overly Opinionated. Rest in peace to fallen kings.
And free the guys.
So, I actually, in a weird way, I'm excited for this episode.
I'm always excited.
Specifically because we got a lot of feedback after episode 1. Basically, people got beef with you.
With me?
Yeah.
If it's not directed, it's not respected.
Oh, no, they directed it.
Who?
I actually had somebody tell me that they wish they could be on the podcast just to argue with you.
What?
Yeah, because of the way that you handled the grief situation. They just feel like you were so off kilter.
Wait. They want to argue with me how I grieve?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
They think you do it the wrong way.
That's crazy. No, there's no right way to do that.
Sure. But
wow.
There may not be a right way to do it, but there is a wrong way, and that was how you
But wrong? No. Selfish, yes. I'm not gonna say wrong. You can't be wrong in how you grieve.
Okay.
But it was very selfish. But I think I did right my wrongs on that though.
What do you feel like you did that rights wrongs?
Restored the relationship. I speak to her more often now. We have things planned for the future. So we're back on track to where it should be.
Now, just because of how specific you were in your avoidance of her, I want to ask how specific are you willing to get?
So after the episode we recorded, I think it was like maybe 2 weeks. I went to go see her. It's like 2 weeks. And it was a Sunday. I was not expecting to be over there all day long. Maybe 2 hours max. But I was over there for at least 6 hours. At least 6 hours. And more family kept coming over. So it's got like a big gathering. Pushed that aside. And then our teams played each other that Thursday night. So, and then I went to go see her then. So, and then...
You brought that up in the episode, right? That was something that y'all bonded over,
yes,
like the teams.
Yeah. And we got the dub, so it was double sweet for me. And then now, cousin's birthday party coming up, and got a little bowling event to attend with them. So, we call each other like once a week now. So we got shit planned out now, so...
So from my perspective, just the way that I move and the way that I get down, I gotta say that I appreciate you taking that step.
It was hard.
I'm sure.
And it completely did not go as expected in my head. Not at all.
When you say as expected, are you saying the characteristics of the meeting that you laid out in the podcast?
Yes.
So what, I would prefer you be specific here because everyone already knows how you thought it was going to go.
So I was expecting it to be, I thought everything that was going to happen, negative, was going to happen. Like, oh, she was going to be upset with me. She wasn't going to understand. Don't want to see me because of what I did. And it was...
Now, had she been upset with you, that's reasonable. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And
that would have just simply gave me more reason to continue to do what I was doing.
Right.
So I'm glad it wasn't like that.
How was it?
It was phenomenal. It should not have took that long.
You better not make me cry today, dude.
No, it should not, for real. It should not have took that long. And then, because I enjoyed it, it made me hate myself a little more for not doing it sooner.
Now, when you say it makes you hate yourself a little more, does that mean that it makes you, do you actually hate yourself, or is it just a deep regret for the way that you behaved in the past?
Both. Because it was so simple, but it's like I put my own fears in front of something that was bigger and more important.
Is it something that you recognize after the fact it was more important, or is it something, or was the fact that you recognized that it was more important the thing that got you over there?
It was that's what got me over there. The moment I realized I was being selfish made made me realize I know I should be over there.
When did you realize that? And only go as far as you want to go, because I know that it got personal after the podcast.
It was a couple moments, but it was more saying out loud made me realize I'm really selfish on this matter. I've been had clues that I was selfish, but I didn't care. But when I spoke,
you were able to ignore it.
But yeah, so when I said it out loud, I was like, "Damn, I look like a shitbag."
That's therapy. You know that? You know that's the effects of therapy.
Yeah, that's what I think happened. Saying it out loud made me realize
saying it out loud,
and then hearing people listen to me, like, damn, yeah, that's some shitbag shit right there. Like, so I think that's what got me over there for real.
And once you went over there, how were you embraced? What did that actually turn into? What was the reality versus the fear that you built up?
It was everything that should happen. Just hugging, like a 5-minute hug. As soon as I got in, it was just me, her, and her son, like just there chilling. But that first moment I stepped in, like, just expressed her excitement. She turned up a little bit, but I don't cry, so it's like I'm just standing there, just hugging her, like. So it's like it was emotional, but it was like a heavy, like, damn, I should have been did this. Like, why so long? That's what it was. That's what the hug felt like, was why so long.
Now, I remember during the podcast that you and Darrell doubted that there was a positive nature to this heavy experience. Like, the idea that this feels good too. Do you see what I was saying now, though?
Yes, but this is about to sound so crazy. What I'm about to do. I didn't want it to feel good because the situation does not feel good. So I don't want to feel good about anything in this situation.
It's the same as what we were saying, where we don't want it to just be Tuesday.
Right.
Like, this has to continue to hurt because I cared so much for this person.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. But the reality of it is, not only do you get to give someone this little bit of reprieve, you get to give someone this, I don't even know what it is, like just an emotional safety net for a moment, emotional release for a moment. But you get that shit too.
And what I loved about it too is, like, that moment was like one of the first moments I didn't feel like it was about me and my actions. Like, it felt like I was doing a good deed for someone else. That's what it felt like. Like, it wasn't about the way I was feeling in that moment. And that's why I think I loved it too. Because a lot of times when I talk about this, like, I always think about how I feel. And that moment, I didn't care how I felt there. It was like, it just felt right to be here. And I think that's why I loved it more.
That makes me extremely happy to hear, bro.
Because, I'm the type, I would rather not try to think about my feelings. And in that moment, I truly did not have to think about my feelings. It was like, I was right where I was supposed to be. The whole time, like, that's what I felt like.
What do you think it is that inclines you to have been there? You say that's right where you're supposed to be. What is it that makes you certain that that's where you were supposed to be?
The atmosphere, it was like nothing else mattered there. Like, I didn't think about anything else. I didn't think about what I had to do. It was just like, I was relaxed. I was where I should be. It was comfortable. It didn't feel forced. It was just like a perfect moment for me. I would say for her too, because she didn't want me to go. I didn't want to leave, truth be told, but it's like, I can't be here all day.
Now, when you say you didn't want to go, is it both sides? Is it like, I genuinely don't want this moment to end, and I don't want this moment to end for you?
There was truly not enough time here. That's simple. It was not enough time. And then I planned my day. Again, I was only there supposed to be there for like just a few hours max. But it was way past that. Like, It was way past that.
I do that same thing with basically all of my loved ones. I can't have a conversation less than an hour. It's impossible for me to or I should say less than 5 hours. This is the only time that I have conversations with loved ones, and it doesn't last 5 hours. This is it. This podcast is it. So in situations where I feel like we're all or both grieving,
mm-hmm.
it's just magnified because I don't want this to end, and I don't want this to end for them. I don't want them, like, I get this feeling of I'm abandoning you if I'm the one to end it.
And yeah, that's how when I left, I was thinking was like, I hope like she thinks this will be the last time. Cause it won't. It definitely would not be.
You hope she thinks it's the last time?
She don't think it would be the last time. Like, because again, it felt like when I left, it was like I was not supposed to be leaving. Like, why did this moment happen? Again, when I left, it felt like, damn, I feel like I was only here for like 30 minutes. Like, but when I looked at the time, I was here all day long. All day long. So it was like, and then she immediately tried to set something up for the next moment. It was like, yeah, I love this.
Well, she probably don't. So, she probably afraid that you go skirt again.
Don't do that. Don't put them thoughts in my. I don't want her to think that because that's not what it's going to be.
I hope that's not true, but I mean that's the evidence that you've given her.
And then that wouldn't be shocking either, though, that she feels that way.
Right.
So I would have to respect that, but prove to her that's not true, though.
So you think it was? I mean, it's dope to hear that you feel like you should have done this.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that comes from the fact that you were afraid of something that never came?
If probably 100%.
100%.
100%. Okay, I'm gonna say 80%. 20%. I just wasn't ready. But if I continue to wait, I wasn't ready when I did it. Truth be told, but it was like I'm just never gonna be ready. So I kicked that out. But it was like 80-20. Like 80% because of what I thought was going to happen, and 20% I wasn't ready.
But here it is that didn't come true.
Right. So I was my own worst critic there. Like, truth be told, like, I thought, like, it was not going to go in the slightest the way I wanted to go. I truly thought that. It was like, I thought it was going to be like a moment like, damn, I knew I should not have did this. Only because she was going to express her anger about my abandonment.
Why are you so against her expressing her emotions?
Because I know I did wrong.
So you just don't want to be told you're wrong?
In this aspect, yes. And it's just because the way I was grieving, like it sounds crazy to tell me I grieved wrong. I think that sounds crazy.
You just said it though.
Yeah, but I acknowledge it.
It's not the fact that you agree. I think that's not the way to look at it. And I don't think that's where anybody was coming from. That's not where I was coming from when I called you a shitbag. It's not where the bro was coming from when he said you was out here fucking up. I'm almost certain it's from a place where you're having a negative effect on someone. And probably a negative effect on yourself because, like, due to fear.
Yeah. And
that, while you may not believe that it is objectively wrong, it's objectively bad. It's objectively negative, and it's an objective negative that could be avoided by you making a different decision. Yeah, which, if you could just make a different decision and make someone's life better and not make yours worse, I'm not saying that you have an obligation to it, but it feels like you should be doing it.
But again, like I was also under the impression like it was going to speed up something that does not, as in the grieving process. I thought that was me going to go see her was going to do, and I feel like that's so wrong.
Darian, I'm afraid that what you're hearing me say is that the way that you grieved caused you to fear something that you shouldn't have feared. That's not what I'm saying. I don't believe we have such control over our emotions that you can stop being afraid of something that you're afraid of.
Right.
But the way that you behave based off of these emotions is the only important thing about the effect of these emotions. So your fear may have been warranted, and even if not, your emotions are what they are.
Yeah.
The way that you react to them, or because of them, that's up to you.
Agree.
And I think, unequivocally, the way that you reacted, it was just, it was just a beacon of pain.
I agree.
It was a beacon of pain for you and your family.
And then I also think I always have these thoughts, like if I would have gone seen her before, like if I did not act on my fear, it was going to create a problem in me that was going to be forever. And that problem is like, I'm over him again. Like I don't want that in the slightest bit at all. And I feel like if I was to act like everything is normal and continue to see her on a daily basis, like it's over with. Like this is just life is just without him now. It's like everything's okay, and I don't want that at all.
Do you feel closer to that right now?
No, not at all. I feel closer to comfort of having her back in my life. That's it.
That's it?
That's it. It's not like I still feel the same about him being gone. I just feel better that I feel like I'm not handling it alone. Like that's the only thing that changed.
So the reason that I reacted to your statement of that's it is because I have the exact opposite reaction that you do. When my nigga's gone, my first thought is that if I'm not there, they would fucking hate me for that. Like, I am being disloyal to them by allowing their loved ones, our loved ones, to deal with this without me. Like, out of everyone, Savon should be there. Savon should be here, and that's probably how your cousin felt, and that's why she said, like, I need you to come back. I need you to do this again. It's because out of everybody, I know D should be here.
And then hearing you say that, it makes me kind of do a comparison of that feeling or getting used to being around these people without him. And I think that shit fucking sucks, bro. That shit sucks.
It sucks. It's one of the most difficult things to get used to because there is a certain,
especially when it's not to cut you off, especially when you know they're supposed to be here.
Yes.
Like simply like
yes.
You are supposed to be here.
Absolutely.
And for me to act like it's okay that you're not here. That's what I feel. I feel like I'm acting.
I can near promise you. I don't get too far into certainties, but I can near promise you that does not go away. D been gone 4 years. J been gone 6. That shit does not go away. You get around those people, no matter how regularly you see them, there's still that feeling that there's something missing here, and you know that it's a person. But the fact that if the afterlife had a cell phone and they could text you, if your cousin could have texted you before you went over there a couple months ago, what do you think the likelihood that the text they send is go see my mom?
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
And I have to behave off of that. I have to act on that. Because the person that I'm grieving, there is a set a set of behaviors that they would want me to go off of. And that I'm near certain that would be it. Like, bro, my mom hurting. Please go see her. Bro, my fiance is in pain right now. Please, give her a hug. I have to behave off of that. Because if I don't, I'm not just abandoning the person that's here.
Yeah.
I'm abandoning the person that's not.
Yeah. That
we're both grieving.
That's heavy. Heavy as fuck. Because it's like, that's why I knew I was so selfish. Because in that moment, I was just always thought about how I felt. And not what other people was feeling.
It's tough, bro, because I think the difficult thing from my perspective, and I realize this is absolutely your thing. This is the recap, but from my perspective, it's tough to have that conversation with you because not only are we on such different sides of the spectrum, but I can't tell you it's painless. Your fear is added pain. And I can't tell you there isn't any of that because there is. Like, I'm sure being over there, it's like there were multiple times where you just got hit with the lack of your cousin.
Yeah.
You just get smacked in the face by the lack of, man, my dog should really be here right now.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you that that's not there, but I still want to encourage you to act on what is. And that's difficult for me to be like, yeah, man, like, face your fears and actually have to face them because it's going to be there.
Yeah. And then, well, I caught myself trying to maneuver around that shit, and all it was doing was making shit worse. That simple. It was just making shit worse.
What do you mean?
It was creating a better distance between me and his mom, but also just pushing the problem I'm going to have to deal with in the future back. So I won't have to deal with it now. That's all it was doing. Literally. Made me feel better in the moments of not having to deal with it. Thinking it'll go away, but it was not going away.
You say making you feel better
by not having to deal with it.
Right.
That's it. Like,
so it's simply avoidance.
Yeah. That's it. That's all it was. Not make me happy or anything. Just
nothing gained, just nothing lost.
Right. So that's all it was.
And once you did it, you feel inclined to do it more.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Like, it's to the point, like, I want to make it, like, bring my whole family, my little family, like, and just go over and stay over there. Like, simple shit like that. Like, it's, like, we don't even have to do anything. Like, I'm completely fine with just sitting over there in your presence.
Now, you have brought up multiple times that you are not the type to be around people and how that does cost you energy.
And that's what happened on our first encounter.
I'm sure.
Bruh. Man, when I tell you, each hour, someone was added to this house. Someone was added to the house. It started off with 3 people in this house. Me, his mom, and his little brother. And then his sister came. Then his aunt came. And his uncle came. And then his little cousins came. We just kept adding and adding, bro.
Now, for what that cost you, was it worth it?
No, that's the weird part. Like, my social battery didn't run out. That's the crazy. Again, it felt like I was there for 30 minutes, bro. I swear. It felt like I was there for 30 minutes. I was there for hours. Hours, bro. That's why I was like, that had to be where I should have been. Because anywhere else, bro, I enjoy football. At a Browns game, bro, I was ready to go. Like, I didn't enjoy this. Too many people. Like, bro, I was just supposed to be there in that moment, bro. I was supposed to be there. Like, everything went out there, and there wasn't no social anxiety or none of that.
And you sound so sure.
I'm positive, bro.
Man, bro, that's beautiful.
I'm positive. Now, I can't say it's going to be like that every time, but I know that moment is exactly like that.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to be like that every time. I don't think the expectation is for it to be as fun and great every time. Like, I chill with my brother's families, and bro, sometimes people hurting so bad that it's dark.
And now I think I'm going into these next visits, like, I have no expectations now. Like, I don't care for expectations when it comes to this now. Like,
I love that
because
shit, dude.
My first expectation was just There was crazy. Like, there should not have been any, truth be told. And now that I realize that, it's like, it makes it easier to go over there.
But in fairness to you, this is your first time dealing with this.
Yes.
You've not had to face such a thing before. And your natural reaction to it happened to be one that caused pain. And you were just trying to avoid facing the pain that you caused. Which, as you see, is a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah.
Because she could have reacted like that.
Yeah. And it would have been justified too.
Yeah.
So.
But here we are, and it was great.
Yeah.
Here we are, and everybody won in that situation.
That's a fact.
And there's only more of that to come. Like, there's only more of that necessary. Because even in those situations where it's dark feelings because people is hurting, hurt with me.
Yeah. That's all I think she wanted. Like, just to be there. Like, again, like, we could have sat there and talked about nothing, and I don't think that would have ever even been a problem. Didn't have to say anything. Like, just being there was enough. Literally. It was so crazy. Like, and then I think about it a lot too. Like, the first 5 minutes was like, why? Why did I do this? Like, and when I say why did I do this, I mean, why did I wait so long? The first 5 minutes, like, I'll never forget it. That moment, I'll never forget it, for real.
It was, when you say you'll never forget it, you'll never forget the rush of regret.
That and the way she hugged me.
That's not something to forget.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That is not something to forget. That's exactly what I was talking about, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'll never forget it. It was like, it wasn't like, it was the longest thank you I think someone could have gave me. Without saying a word. That's what that shit was. The longest thank you somebody could have gave you without saying a word. Yeah. Yeah. I'll never forget it.
A hug that says I needed this.
Yeah.
A hug that says, without saying anything, that I needed this.
Yeah.
That shit is heavy.
So
that shit is heavy. That shit really, it sticks with you, man.
So
you gonna take that. You take that shit with you, man.
You about to make me text it right here. Just thinking about her.
Yeah, same. Nah, same.
Yeah, I got to. But yeah, bro.
It's almost beautiful how much power there is in that mutual love. How there doesn't have to necessarily be conversation about the situation that we're all going through. It's just the fact that we're all going through it. It's plenty. Like, it's plenty to feel good here. It's plenty to make this feel good.
So, with dealing with this, would you say the easiest thing to help cope with this is just be around loved ones?
Yes. Yep.
Like, do you have anything ranked above that or no?
Nothing. There is absolutely nothing. My initial way to deal with just about anything, whether I'm sick, got a headache, sad, depressed, anything, too high, I go to sleep. That's how I deal with everything.
Mine is not talk about it.
That's my very first line of defense, or my very first line of, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And when my older brother died, I tried that same thing. And then I dreamt about him.
Are you a dreamer?
Yeah.
I see, I'm not a dreamer. Sleep is my coping mechanism too.
So when I realized that, like, you can't avoid this shit the same way you can a headache. I don't feel headaches when I'm asleep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, sleep is like perfect. Especially when I don't dream. That shit is perfect for me.
But I deal with death.
Yeah.
So
I think we all do though.
I'm talking about in my sleep. Like, I deal with death in my sleep too.
That's tough when your comfort does not work anymore.
No, you find new. And this is actually the other part of this. I feel like it fits so well, sadly. I've been dealing with shit, bro. Like, I get depressed sometimes. I used to get depressed a lot.
It dimmer down?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Wow.
I'm way better.
Congrats to you on that.
I'm way better at it now, bro.
On that little battle.
But I used to get depressed a lot. And the tool that I use, you know, they say that the dangerous thing about depression is dealing with it alone. And I just don't like being alone, like, at all. If I can avoid being by myself, I will. And I can almost always avoid being by myself. And I just don't want to be. I feel really good when I'm around people that I love. So I just try to always be around people that I love, especially if I can help it. And especially if I'm down. And a lot of people that know me well will know what this whole thing is really getting to. But with my pursuit of happiness being, you know, this collection of memories, it's really changed the way that I deal with my depression. I'm sure there are people out here...
For the good or better.
For the good, for sure. I'm sure there are people out here that have the same existential angst that I do. A part of it comes from not having a religion or deity to fall back on, where, like, this is all we got. And there's a certain level of emptiness that may inject into your life.
But I kind of feel like you have that. Like, your fallback is family. Like,
that's not the same thing. And this is why I say that. Being raised with a religion, you are taught that you'll see all of them again. Everybody that you can ever grieve, you'll see them later. And losing religion, something that I don't think everyone completely understands who still has religion. I don't think religious people fully understand what it's like to lose religion. I don't want to be an atheist. Like, that's not something that I chose one day because I desired it and it looked cooler or because I wanted to sin. I just legit I no longer believe. And losing religion is a really, really lonely thing. Because everyone in my community has religion. They are all connected by this piece of the world that they are convinced of, right?
Yeah.
When you lose that, you gotta grieve twice. You gotta grieve the fact that you're not gonna see those people that you lost.
I had that feeling, but I grew up religious too. But the difference between me and you, though, I think, is I never really took hold of it, ever. Like, there was always like, come on now, like, and I was just forced to do this. And as I got older, when I was able to do what I want to do on my own, I just left it alone. So I always had the understanding, like, I would never see these people again. Like, from my grandma, like, I would never see these people again. So that's why I didn't have to grieve twice. It was like, damn, I know what it is now. Like, I would never see these people again, ever. So it's not like I didn't have to grieve twice. I didn't lose a religion. I just never took hold of it.
I feel you.
So I see why, like, when you go from a believer into, like, yeah, this is not for me, like, it's not making sense to me, like, and then you gotta wrap your fingers around, like, I would never see these loved ones again.
After I've already accepted that we'll see each other later.
Yeah.
Not only that, but there are a couple things. The thing that makes losing religion add to depression is the fact that this thing that we're doing right now just became infinitely more important. Because with religion that leads to an afterlife, there's more to this than what we're doing. And with my belief system now, there just isn't.
Yeah, this is all you have.
And that is really fucking difficult to deal with when you start losing people. It's really fucking difficult to deal with the fact that my brothers never got to see 24. Never got to see 25. Like, that was it. In atheism, that is the end of that, bro. Like, that is this thing is only as good as long as it lasts. Does that make sense?
No, that's the truth.
Now, yeah, look.
That's a tough one. I don't know if that's the truth.
This isn't the conversation that I'm trying to have. I'm not trying to argue what religion or whether religion. I'm just arguing. I'm just expressing the effect it has on depression, and specifically my depression. I'm sure I've had conversations with people that feel similarly. So I know that I speak for someone out there when I say that there is an emptiness to when you lose somebody that you care about and you feel like this is pointless because we're all not going to be here one day. And the things that make life worth it. And just for me, like you said, my fallback is my family. Mm-hmm. I've always been that way. The thing that I've always cared about the most is my family. When that's the case, you start losing family and it's like, well, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what is the point of this? That's something that I've learned, sadly, to envy of religion. A lot of people around me, and I didn't realize this until my older brother died in 2016, and people were telling me that they were dealing with it just fine because they'll see him later. And here I am yearning. Like, I wish I could believe in I wish I had what you have. Because as of right now, I don't have that. And like, my relationship with this person is over to me. And there's an emptiness and a loneliness to that.
How is it over if you still have these feelings for this person?
Because these feelings, sadly, that's what we cling to because that's what we have. What we cherished was the opportunities and the memories, like the moments. What we cherished were the moments, because those feelings can only come from moments like that. Those feelings can only come from the moments that you shared. So when you now have your finite moments, while you're with someone, the moments are infinite. Bro, I could see you every day.
Also, you don't realize how important the moments are, though.
You can. Trust me. As the guy who does, you can.
But why do you need a purpose for life when you can just enjoy these moments? Like, why do you need a purpose?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer right now specifically for that question. But I can say that in the moments of deep melancholy, which is how depression really takes hold of you, at least in the existential angst, from the existential angst angle, it feels like this is pointless. It feels like what we're doing here is useless.
Okay.
And the reason to have a purpose is so that cannot be true. you want to combat that feeling when you're down there. You want to combat the idea that this is pointless. Otherwise, you're going to be looking for ways out.
So why does, for you, like if you can answer this, why does it being pointless? Why does that matter to you?
So that I can avoid the pain. So, in the darkest of times, the future being pointless only means that we can get the fuck out of here right now. Like, we can go on right now. In the avoidance of dealing with future pain. And as much as you can avoid that, the better your whole situation would be.
So that sounds like what I was doing, my avoidance of, you're avoiding the pain, correct? Of the pointless of life, right? So is that worth it more than the memories, your impact on other people?
That's a good question. I think, and now I'm speaking from
you, right?
The depressed
that's
angle.
all I want you to speak from.
It doesn't matter that much. And I'll tell you these calculations, like, I really thought so deeply about this, and it's one of the reasons that my loved ones asked me to seek therapy. I feel like I'm right. I thought so much about it, and I try to be logical about every one of, like, I analyze my thoughts to make sure I'm on track with what actually makes sense and not just what feels good. Not just the avoidance of pain.
Mm-hmm.
But I genuinely, like, I have rationalized this. If the end is just pain, have less pain.
But I think if you was to throw it on the spectrum, are you saying there's more pain than happiness?
I didn't expect to get here, but
we're here though.
Yes. And please let me rationalize why.
Go ahead.
Let me rationalize why. The best good that I can feel is my interactions with my loved ones.
Okay.
That is the best good. The worst bad literally eats that good.
Okay.
And that, to me, values the bad at worse than the good is good.
So, what if you... Okay, so your best good is how you make your loved ones feel, right? Or how they make you feel, right? Like you said. But what if Savon saved someone's life? Just being here. Just you being around someone saved someone's life. Does that even compare to your worst pain?
Yes.
So what
because the worst pain is the fact that me saving their life does not mean they live forever. Like, they still die. Like, the best good is life. The worst bad is the absence of life. Like, life ends. And that is... And this is where this is that connection between the purpose and depression.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's really difficult to accept that this ends and that's it. It's really difficult to keep positive in the moments where this ending is at the front of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all we're doing here.
Uh-huh.
What we're doing here is trying to live in the purpose. Whatever that purpose is,
mm-hmm.
is typically what is going to bring the best. What is going to leave the best from our short time here. And the thing that I have gotten better at, and the thing that, and I speak metaphorically when I use religious terms, just because they really are perfect. Like like when I say that, like, I feel blessed, I mean, there's not a better way to say that in a non-religious form. Like, it just, like, but, and I don't mean to be the guy who says, oh, I made this my religion, but the way that I cling to collecting these memories is almost religious. it's the only thing that matters to me. I do it every day, and I pursue it every day. And it's because I have finally convinced myself that, yes, this all ends one day. And the only way to make it mean anything is to collect as many of these cards as you can. Like, and when I say cards, I mean these memories, the interactions with loved ones, the whatever positive pieces you can leave, spreading love, enjoying time with loved ones. It's the only way that I know how to make this not pointless.
Yeah, that's why there's always beauty in the struggle.
Yeah,
literally,
facts.
Like the journey, like that's the journey to the end game, and it definitely makes it worth it. And in my book, it definitely makes. I don't ever think about the end game, like end of the road. That's just not what I always think about the journey and on my way to there. Like enjoy what I can, like and have my dreams and aspirations all ahead of me. I'm working towards that. Like I know that end of the road is gonna come, but I just I just don't focus on it. Like, and you don't have that ability to just not focus on that end game.
That's true.
Like, and I think
that's what depression is. Depression is not being able to focus away from the thing that makes it feel hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being able to refocus once hopelessness comes in. And that, when I went to therapy, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for them to tell me something, like tell me where I was wrong. Tell me that I was wrong about how much this shit sucks at the end of the day. Like, tell me how wrong where was I wrong? Where did I miscalculate how much this shit sucks? And they didn't do a great job at letting me know that that's not how to do it. But I did end up finding out that refocusing isn't necessarily how you can do it, because that is what we are unable to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're unable to do the refocusing once you're there. Instead of refocusing, live through it and just know that this is the fire. This is the fire. And sometimes fire takes a couple of your cards, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes the fire takes a couple of your cards, but you have to have enough cards. You get a collection of cards so that when a couple of your cards go missing or get stolen by the fire, you got more.
Right.
And you can convince yourself to do this shit again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because you can keep collecting cards, dog.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. Like, you're just not out of cards.
Yeah.
You're not out. And don't focus on the cards you lost. Focus on the cards you have. And I think that's...
And can have.
Yeah.
It's not even the cards that you have necessarily, because that's really fucking hard to do. It's really fucking hard to do when you have people around you to say, oh, well, at least I got these people left. You know?
Yeah.
That's not the idea. The idea is that I still have to make these memories. I have to make these memories. I have to collect more cards because the fire is obviously right there.
Mm-hmm. But what I love about your analogy is losing them cards show you how valuable the cards you do have
Precisely.
are.
Man, bro.
Like,
don't get me fucking started.
And it's sad that we have to realize there's a fire. But if that helps you realize how valuable these that you have, like, there has to be a fire. If there was another way, I wish there was, but sometimes it's just...
I wish there was too, bro. I wish there was too. And you actually hear this from people who are terminally ill or injured. They'll say you never appreciate your health until you don't have it. And I feel that same way about these cards. I feel that same way about the pursuit of memories, of like the thing that matters to you most. I just didn't know. And I don't mean to... this is a recap, so I'm not even going to say I don't mean to recap, but... And because this is the most important thing to me. This is like... I feel like this is my purpose in life. Is to express that when I lost the ability to make new memories it's when I discovered that is what matters to me most. And I'll never not be chasing that shit.
Yeah. And then I want you to be open-minded about this too. Like, we'll never be able to have the proof, but some people who lost their lives, like, some will probably regret it. The ones who didn't value it will probably regret it if they could. Like, go back in time and change it. Like, we'll never know, but I'm sure, like, of the percents, a lot of people will regret doing that, something in that manner. Like, it has to be like, it can't be like everyone who did this 100% would not go back and change that. It can't be. Like, I'm open to know that that just can't be it. Are you? And I'm only saying that because like you were speaking how the end games outweighs the happiest moment in your life. Like, when it's all said and done, some people might actually regret that.
That's a fucking solid point. That's a fucking solid point.
Some people will not actually mean that, but we'll just never know.
Yeah, and it's crazy because as the person in that moment, the only important thing to you is that you can end this pain. But as the person who deals with grieving people who committed suicide, there's a song called "I'm Sorry" by Joyner Lucas, and I mean, that nigga absolutely had somebody do that, because how accurate that song is, it could not be that accurate without experience. But the part in that song that gets me every fucking time, man, like I cannot be like stone faced. I have to feel these feelings when he says, I wonder if you could do it again, would you do it different? Like, fuck.
Like, for real, like, because that perspective truly matters. Like you said, like, if he was to text me and say, what would he say? He'd tell me to go to his mom's every single time.
Yeah.
And you don't think he'll reverse his decision?
Right.
Like, you have to be open, like, I just made a poor decision that I have to live with and the rest of my loved ones have to live with. Right. You have to be open to that. It probably felt like the best decision they made in the time, but they can just regret it. They truly could regret that.
I've always told the people closest to me, because when my older brother passed, my younger brother was in jail. And when my younger brother passed, my older brother was already dead. I've always said that my younger brother, I feel like my younger brother was able to do that because he didn't see the fallout. You go to a funeral for a situation like that, and no matter how dark it ever got for me, I never got close because I simply cannot do that to people. Like, I saw, and I think I told y'all on the first episode how it's almost like a completely different set of grief. The fact that I lost this person and the fact that the people here who also love him, the way that they're dealing with it right now, man, there is something else. There's something about that environment that just makes it, you'll never forget that. You can never forget that. And you're right. Seeing how it affects people, you would absolutely think, as someone who's still here, you would absolutely think that they would regret it.
And you know what's so beautiful about that, which is about to sound crazy? It sees the purpose they're looking for, like the value they are to someone. Right there, without saying a word, that shows you the value you have to someone's life, bro. Something so small, without saying a word, the value like they be looking for is right there the whole time. They just didn't realize it.
You can't see it, man.
Like, just can't see it. You
can't see it from that dark spot. So that's not, and what I've learned is that that's not what you look for. That's not what you try to find. What you try to find is a reason to come back tomorrow. A reason to go forward for tomorrow. And that reason, for me at least, is memories with my loved ones. But whatever your cards are, that's the reason. Mm-hmm. The reason to be back here in the darkest of times is what makes this worth it.
Yep. That purpose, man. That purpose. And again, once you find that purpose, I think it makes it all worth it.
It does.
I'm stand on that.
It does. And you know that it's the purpose when you can do it every day. When you can do it every day and that feels like what you should be doing. It feels like the thing. I think they ask, I don't know where they asked this question, but I've been asked this question, like, what would you do if you had all the money in the world and didn't need to work? And it's this. Like, it is, I would make this podcast with you. And if not, I would find another reason to see you or speak to you on a regular basis. I would go see my mom as much as I can. I would be around my loved ones as much as I can, and I would try to spread as much love as I could, because it genuinely means the world to me.
Yeah, that shit is beautiful, bro.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you acting on the emotions that the overly opinionated pilot incited in you. I appreciate you acting on those, and I appreciate almost as much you being willing to share that with me and the listeners today.
I want to be an open book, man. And it would be crazy of me to speak on that and not act on it too. Like, I truly meant what I said on that, and I had to back it up. So I have to stand on that. And then I appreciate you and the listeners for even just for the space, just to speak about it. Not that I didn't have the space, but just being able to do that for some reason, it pushed me a little bit to even move forward on that situation. For real.
And I hope that's the case, across the board. And not just with this sad and heavy shit. The trying to align with your values, the trying to be better in arguments with people that you love. I had a conversation with somebody that I care about. Like, his opinion means a lot to me because he's just on another level, like, of thinking. Mm-hmm. And he brought up something that we've had conversations about before, how men aren't loved unconditionally. Yeah. In a lot of instances. And he was like, if we're not talking progressively, then just shut up. Like, he doesn't want to hear that you're sad and boo-hooing. Like, if you're not trying to make the change, then just deal with what you got and keep it moving. And, I might not be as far on that side as he is, but I definitely understand it. And I definitely want to act on the things that we can to make these harsh realities less harsh or less real. Mm-hmm. And because the harsh reality is that I have aggressive reactions when I'm challenged, I want to make that less real. Like, we talk about that in the arguments and relationships episode, and I want to make that less real, or I want to make my reactions less harsh. So I hope that us having these conversations helps us to change what it is that is causing this negative effect. Yeah. And I also would hope that listening to these conversations brings it to the forefront of people's minds and maybe helps them do the same. Address these things that you either discover through these conversations or that you already knew and can actually move forward and make some type of change. We want giggles out of this shit too. Yeah. We want giggles. We want the range of emotions that a conversation can bring. But I think that a change is icing on the cake. And it honestly, it's expected. The conversations that we have on a regular basis is the type of shit this isn't talked about often. These types of questions aren't asked to us often, but they're valuable, and something comes out of that.
And I love the idea of, for us, this is like a everyday normal conversation. And people don't have the resources to have an everyday conversation like this, even though they be needing it. And that's what I love about this podcast. Like, we can give them that everyday conversation.
That's a great point. I don't think I think about that as often as you do. But the fact, because I only want conversations like this.
Right.
So when you bring up that people don't have these conversations and they may want them or may not even know that they need them. Yeah, this is a good space.
Like, what's beautiful about a relationship, like, is we can always, no matter how many times, bring something like this up, and we won't ever feel like a burden. But other people who bring it up to one of their levels will probably feel like a burden or a Debbie Downer or whatever, and it's never them vibes with us ever. Like, because like you always say, this is real life. Like, this is the shit we deal with, real life.
Facts.
So it's like, and I also love the idea, like, just a simple conversation can help people move off their fears. I love that. I love that shit, bro.
Me too, bro. And I know we say it every week, but we sincerely mean it when we say our DMs are always open. Our email, I actually have my notifications set to receive emails from the podcast email. We legit are available for whatever it is you need to get off your chest. Whether, like, it could, and I'm talking about anything. It could literally be, yo, man, that dude has a lisp and it's super fucking annoying. Like, it could be anything that you need to say, and we are open for that. It could be as deep as, no, I lost somebody and I'm dealing with that shit too. And it's all appreciated because it pushes our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It pushes our purpose.
Like, just the slightest interaction just makes the day for me. Like, anything, like, I love it.
Agreed, bro. Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
I love this recap.
I love you, dog.
I love you too, man. This shit made me happy, bro. Like, this is such a great feeling speaking about this shit. And then, for our listeners, I personally do not deal with depression, like, so I was just speaking on my thoughts and interaction with you, strictly. Like, those are my questions for you. Like, when I was asking you, like, why don't you think of it this way? Or, like, that's all I was trying. I don't want you to think I was dealing with it personally. I would just give you my thoughts. I don't want the listeners thinking we dealing with the same problem.
Right.
So, giving them perspective. Like,
right.
We're on opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Yes.
So,
which I think is really good for this podcast because that genuine curiosity, not feigning for the conversation, not feigning like, all right, we about to start up the podcast. Get your questions together. It's like you have that question because you don't come from that perspective.
Yeah, that was straight in the moment. Like,
and it's the same thing as the topic of this conversation where I genuinely don't have that fear that you had with your cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something that I was curious about because I don't have that. So that is the genuine conversations is like gold to me.
Yeah. Don't feel forced, just natural.
So yeah, we really appreciate y'all, especially on days like this. And for my aunt, for my mom, for all the other people that told me that the first episode was a little bit too heavy, I apologize for not giving a disclaimer to begin with. This is heavy. Late spoiler alert. So hopefully y'all were able to, if not enjoy, hopefully gain something, whether that be insight on loved ones or not. But we greatly appreciate y'all for listening, and hit us up on Instagram at the Overly Opinionated Podcast. Hit us up on Twitter at the OO Pod Boys. Yeah. We gotta change. We gotta fix that. We need to find a better one than OO Pod Boys, man. Hit us up on Twitter at OO Pod Boys. And if you want to hit us up on the emails, theoverlyopinionatedpod@gmail.com. And we will see y'all next Wednesday.
Thank you.